Anytime there's news out of Russia about Brittney Griner's detention being extended or a new court date being set, or as is the case Monday, a trial finally being set for this coming Friday, there's a predictable reaction in the US. What's going on? Why isn't she coming home? But the fact is, all of it is predictable. It's all in the game, as people say. It was clear back in May that Russia was willing to trade Brittney Griner for somebody else. Once that happened, it was no longer a legitimate legal proceeding, if it ever was one. That was the point when the U.S. State Department decided, okay, we now consider her to be unlawfully detained and can go ahead and try to negotiate her release. But everything else is right out of the Russia playbook when they want something. She was picked up. Who knows if she actually did what she was accused of, bringing hashish oil, vape cartridges into the country illegally. She might have, but it doesn't matter. It's a negotiation. So the trial will happen, and it's almost certain she'll be convicted because that's what happens. She'll be sentenced because that's what happens. It's how they keep leverage. And every foreign policy expert, every expert in hostage taking that I've spoken to has said the same thing. They go through this theater to make it look like it's legitimate. There's also a knowledge that anytime there's news about her case, it's designed to stir up some sort of energy, dissent in the United States to try to get people to pressure the White House to cut a deal that's favorable for Russia. We just saw this happen in May when former U.S. Marine Trevor Reed, who had been convicted in what the U.S. said was a ridiculous show trial, he got to come home when they traded him for a Russian man who had been in U.S. custody. The compelling factor in his case was that his health was in really bad shape. His family said he had untreated tuberculosis. He had been injured somehow. But there's still another American over there named Paul Whelan, and that creates another complication for Brittney Griner. The White House and the State Department, everyone you speak to, they say they're motivated to get them out. They're just as concerned as anybody about keeping Americans safe. But there's not agreement on whether you should go ahead and trade straight up for somebody who's there, because there's a feeling that you could create a greater incentive for other countries to do the same thing. Now, there are others who say the incentive's there. Go ahead and make the deal. Get these people home. But there's a political calculation to be recognized as well. Paul Whelan is a white male. Brittney Griner is a black female lesbian who's also a celebrity. There is a recognition that if people were to bring home Paul Whelan without Brittney Griner, then Joe Biden is going to have to deal with a very upset political base saying, why did you bring him and not her? It's the same the other way around. If they bring her home and not him, now you've got people saying, wait a second, why do you get her, the celebrity, which would make your base happier when you ignore this other guy? That's the political reality that we live in. Russia is very aware of it, and it's got an entire operation, mostly on the internet, ready to exploit those divisions. They've done it successfully for quite some time. So when you speak to people who are around this case, they're aware that that is the reality. And ideally, they would like to bring them home together. You do that, it's a huge victory for the Biden administration. It prevents other more complicated political issues. And the fact is, you get two Americans who are home. The other interesting thing about her case is, did she do it or didn't she do it? It doesn't matter. Every time I tweet something about this case, you can time it when the bots are going to start rolling in and other people saying, well, she shouldn't have broken the law in the first place. Who knows if she did or didn't? Russia has not presented any evidence to date. That's going to happen this week. They may present evidence that even an American would look at and say, okay, she definitely did it. They may have some specious evidence. They may have absolutely made up evidence. It doesn't matter. It's all part of this theater. Even if she did it, it doesn't matter to the Russians. They want something in return. So when you're looking at her case, speak to any expert, speak to any U.S. official. You cannot look at it as though this is a normal legal proceeding. This is a negotiation. And the likely outcome, whatever happens with the trial, is that Brittney Griner will get to come home, and it'll be through a negotiated exchange of prisoners. The question is, does it happen tomorrow? Does it happen 2-3 years from now? That really is the only thing we don't know.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.